Okay, so first thing I'm trying to do as I'm preparing for the preview exam is I am just trying to get a feel for the format, what they kind of look for in each of their responses, timing, um, just a general feel for the kind of questions they will ask. A lot of times you hear, or at least what I've heard, is like can't really like study for an ethical exam. But that being said, I'm hoping I can just get better accustomed to logic so it can become more inherent and a little bit more, just kind of solidify my base. But yeah, so the general aspect, I have the Examinee preparation guide up on my laptop. Oh, and by the way, if like the AMC is usually pretty good with this stuff, you can go to, I think, aamc.com/preview, and they have like a big resources, and like most of it is no, it's all free, and it's kind of what I'm doing right now. But yeah, so the exam format is, let's see. Okay, so it's multiple choice. You're going to get around 30 written scenarios with like different dilemmas, and each scenario has like a different step that you would take following that, for a total of 186 items. And for each scenario, you have to rate the next step on basically a scale from very ineffective to ineffective to effective to very effective. So a couple nuances there, and I do suggest you go ahead and read this all for yourself. This is just mainly for me to kind of verbally enunciate what it is that's expected. So for very ineffective, it's saying those kind of responses will always cause problems or make the situation worse. Ineffective is it will not improve and it could cause problems. Effective is it could improve but not substantially, like maybe you're not getting at the root of the situation. And then very effective is you're taking responsibility, and like this course of action that you're going to take is going to significantly improve the situation. Now, you're responding to these as a medical student. So I guess if you're trying to decide between whether you should attend this lecture or attend this volunteer opportunity, which I think is like a scenario that's there, you're going to want to, as a medical student, explore your options for volunteering, but you want to prioritize making it to your classes, to your exams, because your first and foremost priority is a medical student. Now, that may not be the most effective. Maybe you need to explore more options within that, and that may get you to the very effective scale. But I mean, obviously it's a gradient, but you want to see it as a medical student, and then these are steps that you're taking subsequent to one another. The basis for these are fairly straightforward. There's a couple of them, including service orientation, so you want to help others. Social skills, so being able to identify goals, cognitive of feelings, so like kind of empathy can be grouped into the social skills that you need to be able to apply. Cultural competency, this one may not be as straightforward, but you have to respect all diversities within the field. And of course, you may be saying or thinking, like this is like common sense, but it's always good to, I think, review even the most basic of things that we may just take for granted that we know. So next, teamwork. You need to be able to work collaboratively. I think a lot of the scenarios, just from the situational practice exam I took, were usually in a group, or almost always are going to have another person involved in some kind of way. And then ethical responsibility to self and others. So are you being honest? Are you holding true to your values? Are those values good? So not always just working out of self-interest. And part of that goes on to be the next competency, which is, are you reliable? Are you dependable in any capacity? And then how do you show that? And then do you have resilience? Do you have adaptability? A lot of these scenarios, well, all the scenarios are going to have some kind of dilemma, and it's important to realize that there isn't necessarily one effective answer that is correct, but there's multiple ways to be very effective in your response or your approach, or maybe you don't want this, but you could be very ineffective in a multitude of ways, and maybe you're just never effective. Maybe you're always on one of them. So like it's not necessarily for each aspect of the scenario you can only do very effective ones. It's you can have it multiple times, because there's various ways you can approach these situations. So kind of trying to think not out of like what you would just do, but maybe others as well. And then the last one is the capacity for improvement. So this kind of goes with you can always, when you face a dilemma, you're taking that as an opportunity to apply all these competencies, and there's a lot of intersections between them, but they all kind of accumulate to this aspect of being a professional, being empathetic, and being able to identify the best course of action. That's not just cognitive of your emotions and your desires, but others, and getting a grasp of that. Okay, so those are the core competencies. Now we have a general view of the preview exam, which again is like the 30 scenarios, and you'll have 75 minutes. From what I've heard, it's not necessarily that rigorous on timing, so that's good. I don't think it's necessarily like the MCAT, or I don't know if people like struggle with timing on MCAT. It's very subjective to the person, but yeah, that's the overall overview. That was redundant, but yeah.